Hello, and this is part 3 of the multiplication and division tutorial, and now we're on to the basically multiplication and division and long multiplication and long division. Again, it is all in, everything I talk about is in the Maths Mum Explains Multiplication and Division resource booklet that is available to download for free on the website. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at multiplication using the grid method. So when we did addition and subtraction, we talked about partitioning. So this is very similar to the idea of understanding that what a number is built up of. So when we look at the example 23 times 8, what we actually do is we build a grid, 20 and 3. So this is, I've partitioned my number and we're multiplying it by 8. And what we do is we build a grid, we multiply 8 by 2, is 16, and 1 0. 8 times 3 is 24. And then what we do is we take 160 and we add 24 to it, we get 184. Okay? So that is multiplication by the grid method. And you can do this to quite complex, but this idea is understanding 20 as 23, as 20 plus 3. Okay? Now with the same example, forgive me, for whatever reason my rubber isn't working very well today. Hopefully you should be able to see over it. Okay, so I'm going to use the same example, 23 times 8, to show you that I can write it in a different way, but still using the same idea of partitioning, where I do, I'm going to start multiplying out my 20, so 8 20s are 160, so this is 20 times 8, and then I've got 8 3s are 24, and then, so that's 3 times 8. So again, I'm partitioning it and multiplying it out individually, then I'm going to add it up. Obviously that is working up to what we're going to do, and we know as short multiplication when you actually do it in one line. Okay, which is 8 3s are 20, sorry, put my other line in. 8 3s are 24, I put down my 4 in my units column, I put 2 underneath the line in my tens column. 8 2s are 16, plus my 2 is 18, and I put it there. Okay, so that is short multiplication. Okay, and I think most of us are familiar with it because that's what we did at school. Okay, when we go to long multiplication, and long multiplication is considered when I'm multiplying up to a 4-digit number with a 2-digit number. That's what they aim for at the end of primary school. So in this case, I'm going to use the example 72 multiplied by 38. Okay, and what I'm going to do is in the long multiplication, I'm actually going to do again my 2 lines, and I'm going to multiply 72 by 30. So I'm going to partition it, and then I'm also going to multiply 72 by 8. Okay, so 72 by 30, I put my 0 in, and then I multiply by 3 2s are 6, 3 7s are 21. 8 2s are 16, I have to carry my 1, I'll put it here. 8 7s are 56, plus my 1 is 57. I strike that off. And then I add the numbers together, I get 6, I get 13, 1 carry my 1, I get 7 and 2. Okay, multiplication does take the working memory a little bit of a challenge, and putting the 1s in between can sometimes be confusing. So it's really important if you put a 1 in that when you use it, you strike it off to know that you're not repeatedly using it. And when you do the addition, I should really have done an extra line underneath and done my addition properly. But you will see children, whenever they get very comfortable with their working memory, will drop those type of things that they've learnt to do. It's okay, if they're getting it right, it's absolutely fine. Okay, so this is long multiplication. I do a harder example on the workbook as well. You can use, and I've done it here just to show you, you can use grid multiplication. Yeah, you can use grid multiplication for very complex multiplication, and it is quite straightforward. And actually, it's probably easier to spot where you make a mistake than doing it long multiplication. So if your child is having difficulty with this, they can also use the grid multiplication method, okay? Because it's just it's simple, and then you have to do addition. Okay, the next thing to look at is you have to multiply numbers with decimals. And when we introduce decimals, it's like, oh, but do you know what? It's very straightforward. All you've got to remember is to keep the decimal place in the right place and keep your place value lined up. Trick on this one is if somebody's having difficulty, get squared paper. Get squared paper and line up the numbers in the boxes so that they can always line it down. Just as a note, I will try and put some squared paper as a default to download on my website, because I know I've made some for people that they can print off, so I'll try and remember to put that on my website. Okay, so the example I use is 4.9 multiplied by 3. So what we're actually going to do is 4.9 multiplied by 3. We're going to use, just like we would in short multiplication, we're going to multiply 3 by 9 is 27. Okay, I'm going to carry my 2. 3 fours are 12, plus my 2 is 14. But what I'm going to do is make sure I put my decimal place back in the right place, and obviously I've used my 2. So you can see that the trick here is to make sure that you have your numbers lined up in the correct fashion, so that it's easy to see exactly where the decimal place goes in. The other way of doing that, of course, is you can multiply 49 by 3 and then divide it all by 10. That's the other way of doing it. And some children will automatically do that because that's how they see the numbers. And the more confident you are at seeing numbers in a different way, the better. Okay, so that is multiplication. Clearly, I'm going through it really fast, but hopefully at this stage, if your child is in year 5 or year 6, they have actually covered this as part of their topics, and this is just a refresher for you to make sure that you know what they're doing. Right, division. I put some pictures in here with sharing circles because actually it's really difficult to explain this one without a visual. But the step from sharing circles to bigger numbers, we do something called grouping or chunking, where you take out a bundle of the divisor. So what this is actually saying is if I'm dividing 72 by 5, okay, what I'm actually doing is I'm going to use my knowledge of the actual 5 times tables to remove chunks from it. So the first chunk I'm going to remove is 50, because 50, is 5 times 10. Okay, so I know in each one of my 5, I can give them 10. Yeah? 10 signified by my Dean stick. So then what I have left is 22. Okay? And 22 then I can look at and go, what 5 times table is close to 22 but not over it? I know that 20 is. So 20 is 5 times 4. So I now know that each of these can get 4. Okay, and then I have remainder 2. So I've got 2 left over. So this kind of idea of sharing circles, but by grouping and sharing, and grouping by using the multiples of the divisor. Okay, it's all explained in there. Hopefully you'll get it. But most children will. Most children, you know, won't stop at that point. They will go straight on to what we know. That is a stepping stone to what we know as the bus stop method. Now, the bus stop method is one of those methods that really annoys me because it is exactly the same method that we learnt at school, but for some reason somebody named it the bus stop method to cause confusion amongst our generation. And the reason for it is it looks like a bus stop. It looks like a bus stop. So the example I've got is 96 divided by 6. It looks like a bus stop. So that's the only reason it's called the bus stop method. Hopefully that light bulb has just gone above your head. But this is exactly the same way that we did division. So you go 6 into 9 goes once, yeah, remaining 3, yeah, 6 into 36 goes 6 times, okay? It's exactly the same, and I've explained it in the workbook. You can obviously do harder ones if we look at the next one that I've put on there. We have got 875 divided by 8. So 8 into 8 goes once. 8 into 7 doesn't go. Okay, so we do 7. And then what I've got is I've got 7 over. 8 into 75 goes, she said goes 9 times. 9, 8s are 72. Okay, remainder 3. Okay, so again, it's exactly how we did division at school, so this should be a refresher to you. Okay, when we actually get to long division, this is where whenever I was doing it for myself, I was like, oh gosh, did I do that? Don't really remember much about that. I think partly because nowadays that we've got no reason to do it other than going to the calculator and doing it. But when we actually look at it, we need, I think the thing that I forgot is you need mental jotting. So I always worry about trying to remember it all in my head, but I think we grew up with trying to get it accurate and everything in our head, whereas nowadays it's fine to jot things down on the side and work things out. So long division, so when we look at the example 972 divided by 36, right, we set it up exactly like the bus stop. So we go 36, yeah, 9, 7, 2. So what we have to do is we have to know our 36 times tables. Well, clearly, I don't know my 36 times tables off the top of my head, but what I do is I use mental jottings down. So what I go is 36 into 97. I think it goes more than once, it probably is twice. Don't think it's 3 times, but what I do is I go 36 times 2 over here. I do know doubling 36 because we've learnt that. Double 36 is 72. Okay, so 36 into 97, I think goes twice. Okay, okay, and what I do is I multiply it back and I put it underneath and I take it off. Okay, so I do my subtraction, yeah, and I get 25, yeah, and then what I do here is I take down my next number, and what I actually say is 36 into 252 goes how many times? Clearly it's not quite 10 because 10 would be 360 because I can do that in my head. So what I need to do is I need to double this to get closer to the answer. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do 36 times 4 is 72 doubled, yeah, which is 144. Okay, 36 times 6, well, I'm just going to add those both together and I get 6. I get 6, okay, 216. I think I might get another one in here. So 36 times 7 is that time plus 36, so that's 2. 1 on is 5, 2. 252. Okay, so the answer is exactly 7. 7, 36 is 252. I take it off and I get 0. So what I have to do is my mental jottings on the side to work out what my 36 times tables are. But because our children have learnt doubling, and actually know how partition numbers to double them easy, and you know addition, you can keep going. And also, you know, if we got to here and I thought I needed to double it again, I could have done double to 8 times 36. Okay, so that is mental jottings and how you do long division. Clearly, you can ask me to demonstrate, contact me if you need just to go over all of this. I'm running through it very quickly because we're going to run out of time. But the